The studio floor of The View vibrated with its usual pre-show buzz, though something in the air felt slightly off, an electrical tension that stagehands picked up on even before the hosts reached the table. Joy Behar arrived first, brisk steps, glasses perched low on her nose, muttering about the cue cards being out of order. She wasn't in a bad mood exactly, but she had that unmistakable sharp edge, the one everyone recognized as, Joy's ready for a fight if someone's foolish enough to bring one. Before she could settle into her chair, stage manager Darlene rushed over with a look on her face that said please don't kill the messenger. Joy raised an eyebrow. What now? She asked. Your guest, he's asking if he can smoke backstage. Joy blinked, processing. Smoke? This is a studio, not a campfire. Darlene cleared her throat. He said, and I'm quoting, just a little puff to settle the nerves. Joy rolled her eyes with the weight of someone who had lived through decades of showbiz absurdities. Fine, tell him if he sets off the alarms, he goes out there and explains it to the audience. Darlene nodded and jogged off, relieved to have survived another round of Joy's pre-show pragmatism. A moment later, the guest made his entrance from the hall, his steps slow and easy, like he had all the time in the world. Willie Nelson, wearing that calm half-smile, greeted Joy with a nod. His presence alone seemed to slow the frantic pace of the set, like someone had thrown a warm blanket over the entire room. Joy regarded him with cautious respect. She liked him, mostly. She liked his music, his charm, and his legend status. But she also knew that legends came with quirks, and quirks on live television had a long track record of becoming viral disasters. Morning, Willie, she said, not unkindly but with that wary tone she used with unpredictable guests. You ready to talk politics today? Willie chuckled softly. I'm ready to talk about anything. Even the things that make people uncomfortable. Joy pursed her lips. Great, because nothing says, easy Tuesday, like losing half the audience. He just smiled wider. Joy hated how disarming that was. When the countdown to live began, Joy slipped into her polished TV persona. Lights blazed. Cameras swept across the table. The audience burst into applause. And Joy, leaning in with her signature comedic timing, welcomed viewers with energy even she didn't fully feel yet. Today we've got a very special guest, she announced. An American icon, a man who's been making music longer than I've been making enemies. The audience laughed. Willie tipped his head in acknowledgement. They began with harmless topics, tour stories, the state of country music, funny encounters on the road. Joy handled it smoothly, tossing jokes, prompting applause, keeping the rhythm. Everything was going well, until the producers signaled for the big segment, the one that was supposed to be heartfelt and reflective. The topic, Joy said, reading off the teleprompter, is American unity, how we bring people together in times like these. Willie took a breath, thoughtful. Well, Joy, I think people make things too complicated. Unity comes from kindness, from listening, from giving each other a break. Joy nodded. Sure, kindness is great. But you can't just hand out kindness like it's Halloween candy and expect the world to magically fix itself. I don't know, he countered gently. Sometimes a little compassion goes a long way. And sometimes it does nothing, Joy shot back, more sharply than she intended. You can sing about peace and unity for 50 years, but the world keeps burning. Willie's smile faded just a little. Well, maybe it's burning because people stopped believing peace is possible. The audience let out a soft, concerned ooh. Joy heard it, Willie heard it, producers heard it, everyone became aware of the slight shift, an almost imperceptible tilt of the conversation toward danger. Joy leaned forward, her voice tightening. Look, I admire you, Willie, I really do. But you say things like that from a place where everyone loves you. You're adored. You walk into a room and people practically fall over themselves. But not everyone gets to live in that bubble. Kindness isn't a bubble, he replied, calm but firm. It's a choice. Joy felt heat rising in her chest, the kind that came from being challenged unexpectedly. Easy to say when you're America's sweetheart. Now the audience gasped. Willie's eyebrows lifted, surprised, maybe a little hurt, but still composed. I never claimed to have all the answers, he said softly. But I do know anger won't solve anything. Anger, Joy snapped, is sometimes the only tool people have when no one listens to them. The tension was no longer subtle, it was on full display, pulsing through the studio. Even the camera operators stiffened, waiting to see where this was headed. Willie opened his mouth to respond, but Joy cut him off, her voice suddenly louder than the room could contain. You know what? I'm tired of being told to stay calm. I'm tired of being told to be polite. I'm tired, Willie. Willie's expression softened into something almost paternal. Joy, if you're tired, maybe it's time for a rest. The room fell silent. Joy stared at him, her face flushing. It wasn't the words, it was the tone. Gentle, kind, almost pitying. The exact tone Joy hated more than anything. Something inside her snapped. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping behind her. You know what, maybe you're right, she said, breath shaking with emotion she couldn't hide. Maybe I am done. The hallway outside the set of The View buzzed with a strange mix of shock and frantic motion. Producers whispered into headsets like emergency responders coordinating a crisis. Assistants darted around trying to reroute the taping schedule. Security had stepped aside, unsure whether they were supposed to intervene or just keep the hall clear. And through the center of it all walked Joy Behar, furious, rattled, and more vulnerable than she'd ever admit, moving with the determined pace of someone who had no idea where she was going but knew she had to keep moving. She reached the dressing room area, slammed the door behind her, and only then let herself breathe. Her hands shook as she paced the small room. She tossed her cue cards onto the couch, then kicked off her heels so sharply that one bounced off the wall. She wasn't angry at Willie Nelson. Not really, and that frustrated her even more. She was angry at the situation. At herself. At the building pressure that had been simmering under the surface for months. A knock interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Joy stiffened. If it's one more producer trying to convince me to go back out there, I swear. The door opened a crack. It wasn't a producer. It was Sunny Hostin, stepping inside gently like she was approaching a startled animal. Hey, Sunny said quietly. Just checking if you're okay. Joy scoffed. Do I look okay? Sunny glanced at the discarded shoes, the scattered cards, the mascara smudge forming near Joy's eye. Not particularly. Joy plopped onto the couch with a groan. Great. Wonderful. Let's add, visually disastrous, to the list. Sunny sat beside her, her posture grounded, her voice steady. You don't owe anyone an apology, you know. You're allowed to have a moment. A moment, Joy said, rubbing her forehead. I walked off a live show. Sunny, that's not a moment. That's a meltdown with theme music. Sunny hesitated before speaking. Willie didn't mean anything by what he said. Joy shut her eyes. I know he didn't. That's the worst part. Sunny tilted her head, waiting. It wasn't about him, Joy admitted reluctantly. It was about being tired. Feeling like I'm constantly yelling into a void. It's exhausting being the angry one all the time. Sunny nodded. You don't always have to be. Joy let out a humorless laugh. Try telling the internet that. Before Sunny could respond, another knock sounded, this one gentler, slower. Joy immediately tensed. Is that? Sunny stood. It's him. Joy shook her head frantically. No, 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 I can't. Sunny, don't let him. But Sunny had already opened the door. Standing there was Willie Nelson, hat in hand, eyes soft with concern. He looked nothing like the man who had just indirectly caused live television chaos. He looked like someone who genuinely cared. Mind if I come in? He asked softly. Joy's instinctive response was to fire back with something sarcastic, something deflective. But the words wouldn't come. She simply gestured to the room in a tired sweep. Sunny gave them both a supportive smile and slipped out, closing the door behind her. Willie stepped inside, moving slowly, respectfully. Joy watched him, unsure whether she wanted to scream at him or hug him. He took a seat across from her. I'm real sorry things went the way they did. Joy crossed her arms. You didn't say anything wrong. I might have said it wrong, he countered gently. There's a difference. She looked away, jaw tight. Willie leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Joy, you've got a fire inside you. That's not a flaw, it's a gift, and it's one this world needs. Joy blinked rapidly, caught off guard. Then why did it feel like you were telling me to shut up? Willie shook his head. I wasn't, not even a little. I just meant, you don't have to carry everything on your shoulders. You don't have to fight every battle alone. Joy's throat tightened. She hated vulnerability, hated how it crept in on quiet feet and ambushed her. You make it sound so simple, she said. It ain't simple, he replied with a small smile. It's just true. Silence settled between them, not tense, not awkward, just honest. Finally, Joy sighed. I shouldn't have walked off. Maybe not, Willie agreed gently. But sometimes walking away is part of figuring out what matters. You're really calm about all this, Joy muttered. Well, I've had a lot of practice. Life gives you enough storms, you learn not to panic every time the wind blows. Joy let out a reluctant laugh. Yeah, well, some of us are the wind.